plant. We have three. Oops, recording. We have three reactors in Chernobyl, which they are in decommissioning stage, but still it's graphite reactors, and they were defueled, but still dangerous. And we have one reactor with a huge sarcophagus, and we have several storages of the waste, and all that was taken with a military force yesterday. Was it yesterday? No, day before yesterday, the first day of attack. It was February 24th. Russian military show up, and that situation is actually bringing more questions than answers. Now I can ask to let me show my screen so I can share some pictures, some illustrations, please. So we don't know who is in charge of the radiation safety, who is in charge of engineering support. There are a lot of installations, there are a lot of things to be taken care of, and there were no statement from the Russian nuclear authorities. My country has a nuclear monopoly called Rosatom, and Rosatom is a state nuclear monopoly on each and every nuclear activity. They build nuclear power plants, they build nuclear weapons, they take care of the waste, they do everything. They do international activities. In many countries, they build nuclear power plants, sorry to say. So we don't see any statements from Rosatom that they are involved in the radiation safety of the Chernobyl nuclear power plant, which is somehow now belongs to Russia, if I am correct. I can ask once more, can you please give me the right to show the screen? I still cannot do that. Kumar? Just give me the right to demonstrate the screen, and then I can illustrate.
Sure.
Illustrate my words. Sorry, technical problems.
I'm extremely sorry for this. I think you should have the right now, Andrey.
No.
No?
Kumar, you have to make him a co-host.
Yeah, just a second.
Mm-hmm.
Andrey, try and share your screen now. Made you the host.
It works. Yes, it works. Thank you. So let me see how it works. Yeah, thank you. So this is just to illustrate that Chernobyl is not easy. That's a very rough overview of what is happening inside this containment and confinement. And that is the picture taken two days ago when the Russian military showed up there, I think without previous agreement, without previous notice. So that can be a nightmare when you work at a decommissioning nuclear power plant and you see this picture from your window once upon a time. So I will come back to the legal.
Андрей, а на экране ты не показываешь фото, у тебя ты показываешь много разных фото. Тебе нужно что-то сделать.
Так, плохо. Thank you. Another technical problem. Let me restart that. Ир, спасибо. Sorry, technical problems are coming, and I hope now it's okay.
Yeah, we can see it now.
Yeah, so now that is most sad picture I can imagine when there are foreign army in your garden, in your park next to your job place. And it's strange. No, I cannot play with that. Yeah, that's how the content of the containment and confinement looks like. So I told you that it is not easy. We have corium there. We have many other problems, and it needs to be addressed. All that installations in Chernobyl area shall be addressed. I'm sorry, folks. Now I will do it faster. So the automatical system of radioactive monitoring is a state automatical system. It's not NGO. It's a government who established several points around Chernobyl, have registered the spike. For instance, this slide is Pripyat city. One of the points, I will show you several, and the normal value is 0.76 microsievert per hour. And at the slide, you see 10. Again, 0.6 is a bit higher than we have on streets, like 3 times higher, but it's Chernobyl, it's Pripyat. And then you see all these dates with all the measurements. And on the 25th of February, we have the spike. Spike has like in two shifts. So why and how it happens? Let's discuss a bit later. Another illustrations of the same type of pictures. So many of the data is saying that there is a radiation spike. Why and how? The worst case scenario is that was a military operation. There was a fight. Russian army denies. Russian army said that they accept. They occupied Chernobyl peacefully. Army peacefully. Don't ask me how to translate that, but it's that what their PR. Service is saying, but Ukrainians say that they do. There was some fight, and what we can see not only the 6 agency detectors were broken or something like that, and we have an official statement of the Radiation Safety Authority. It's a bit funny. It's 25th of February in the morning. It's a bit funny because they say that the spike is because the dust was rising up when the tanks and military equipment of Russia moved in the Chernobyl exclusion zone. Well, maybe not. I would not trust that because it cannot explain the magnitude of the problem. So we are now, I mean, all the world, in the situation when Ukraine is under attack and when the nuclear power plants, nuclear infrastructure of Ukraine can be under attack. Let's look not at Chernobyl. Chernobyl is to the very north, next to Kiev. It's not marked on the map, but 2 other Ukrainian nuclear power plants. If you look to the south, Zaporizhia nuclear power plant and South Ukraine nuclear power plant. They can be directly involved in this in the Russian military operation. We call it official operation, but of course it's kind of war. Next days, and I don't think I put it here, but I received the messages from Ukraine, from South Ukraine nuclear power plant, that they notice military planes circulating in the sky and they saw explosions somewhere around. So that's not unique, but pretty bad situation when nuclear power plants are in the middle of the battlefield. And we can expect more problems. I'm not in position to say how we can solve that. Of course, we shall stop the war, but tell me how, and then I will stop it. Let me make my last remark on the IAEA position on that. IAEA, as usually, are not in a position of doing something. They are following the situation. If you see, that's a statement of February 24th, it's still on the website of IAEA. They are absolutely aware of the situation. I read it. Unidentified armed forces have taken control on the Chernobyl nuclear power plant. So that's how it looks like. That's how the military operation in Ukraine looks like. Unidentified armed forces, said the International Atomic Agency, were taken by Chernobyl nuclear power plant. And Director General make a very kind remark that any armed attack and threat against nuclear facilities devoted to peaceful purposes is a violation of the principles of United Nations Charter. Very good. I'm really happy with this IAEA statement, but did they inform Russia? Did they inform these unidentified armed forces that maybe they should take into account IAEA opinion? And coming back to the beginning, if we see the indicator of that radiation situation in Chernobyl area is getting worse, and if we don't have anyone in charge, because Ukraine was removed from Chernobyl area and Russia was accepted that, who is now in charge of Chernobyl? Who can confirm or dismiss the information that there is a radiation spike? Who can find out the reason of the spike if it's the reality? Maybe IAEA can take the lead in that, because of course Russia will not trust Ukrainian scientists, and Ukraine will not trust the Russians. We are in a situation of the war, and it's what I expect. But in this situation, international community can be involved, but we see almost complete silence from IAEA. So that's the end of my introduction. Now we can talk.
Andrey, do you mean we can invite questions? I'm sure
Yes.
people will have. Okay. So I invite you all to ask any questions. You can ask using our chat, Zoom chat here, or you can raise your hand one by one. If you have any questions, any comments, any further clarifications to ask. I can see one question/request here from Linda Richards, and it's that, is there a way to link to this talk to be sent to us after, so we can send it to Fox, so some news? Yeah, of course, we are recording this conversation and this will be put online, and Linda, I'll make sure that I send it to you. Thank you.
Yeah, maybe I continue. I hope you can see the map right now.
Mm-hmm.
Can you see the map?
Yes.
Good. So that's how it works. That's the website. I just find out that I did not publish the name of this monitoring site. So you can see now how it looks like, and now most of the monitoring system here in Chernobyl area is a switch off. Well, maybe because the Russian military is there. So the monitoring system now doesn't work. All the screenshots I show you now are only in my computer memory and maybe somewhere else. Some of the dots here you see the measuring points. Some of them are active. Let me check if it works. Maybe not. But that's what I can expect. So maybe because the staff was gone, maybe because of the military just stopped this monitoring system. So now we are not receiving the data online as it was 2 days ago. So 2 days ago, all this map was active with the small dots, where we can come online and see what is the situation in different places. So there is one hand. Yes, please.
Yes, we have Fukunaga Masaki Sensei. Please go ahead and ask your question.
Thank you so much. First, I would like to ask, what's the situation just now at the ground zero of the Chernobyl? We would like to know what's the situation just now. If you have any information about it, kindly explain for us. Thank you so much.
No information at all. We don't have, as I just noticed, this monitoring system is not active, and the website of Chernobyl nuclear power plant is not updated. So the only thing we have is the message from radiation safety authorities. They confirm radiation spike. They don't give the magnitudes of the problem, and they come up with a strange idea that that's because of the dust was coming up because of heavy military technique is moving up and forward. Let me wait. Let me stress one more thing. If the spike is caused because of the dust was coming from one side of the road to another, there is no big problem. The dust, radioactive dust, is still there. It's polluted area. It's like there is 30 kilometers and 200 kilometers, and many areas in my part of the world are still polluted. But maybe the problem is that some of the installations were damaged due to fire or due to lack of maintenance. As I told you, workers were somehow excluded from their working place, and we have confusing messages. Was it able to find out those guys, those engineers and those workers who used to work there? Are they ready to work under the Russian rule, under occupation? Let me use a straight word. So there are more problems than answers, and no one takes care about that. And that's the reason of Kumar and my activity now. So we just want to share it with you. I did coverage in Russian language, so now I just want to share it with you. Maybe you can find many journalists in your countries. Just please come, let them come to me. I can talk and I can explain that. So far we have very few attention. I saw one message why Russia take Chernobyl plant, but first question is why Russia invaded Ukraine. That because of political reason and because of stupidity or whatever of some of high political leaders of my country. Why Chernobyl? It's a short way to Kiev. If you look at the map, and if you attack from the north as Russian army did, so they really go to Gomel, Belarus, Chernihiv, Ukraine, Kiev, capital of Ukraine. So they won't go straight from the north to south, and Chernobyl is a bit to the right of their movement. So they don't want to have any, and Chernobyl was protected by Ukrainian army, or not really army, but special forces. So maybe they technically just didn't want to have that small military Ukrainians in their background. I don't know. We just want We just see the facts. And again, we have complete silence from Russian general staff or from Russian army. The army, no, there was a message from the army saying that army is taking care of physical security. That's what they can do. So they put their soldiers around Chernobyl, who is taking care of the radiation safety, of the engineering safety. That's a problem. What about security of all active nuclear plants of Ukraine? That's a question. That's a question, David. And actually, that's heartbreaking exercise just to think that some guys now in a green uniform can make shelling and can make a small mistake, and the shells will come to the direction of nuclear power plant, and not to direction, but they want to address the fire. So that's the second case. I asked my friends, and they remind me that during the war in Yugoslavia, the nuclear power plant Krsko and the border between Slovenia and Croatia was in situation when the military was nearby. There were not active military activity nearby, but the tanks was standing in 20 kilometers from there. So now we're repeating that. So no idea how ready is the Russian army to understand that better not to put the barrels in the direction of nuclear installations. I'm not sure that they have something like, big red pen in the maps saying that no way to don't even look there, because destroying of active reactors, all the other nuclear plants, power plants but Chernobyl were active at the time of attack. So they were running on the full scale. I was monitoring the messages from the energy ministry of Ukraine due to different reasons. I didn't expect that we attack Ukraine. So the reactors are operational, and all the other reactors are pressure water reactors. So it's not graphite reactors, but still, if the reactor will be destroyed, that will be a problem of the magnitude of Chernobyl. Of course, different type. There are no graphite. Graphite is all the graphite is in Chernobyl, but that.
Andrey, we have some more questions here in the chat, but please also allow me to invite Paul, Mari, and Stephanie to ask questions.
Good.
Because they have raised their hand. Paul, could you go first?
Yes, привет, Andrey.
Hey.
And thank you for being brave and sharing your knowledge with us. Andrey, my question is concerning if the sarcophagus that's protecting the blown reactor at Chernobyl, if that is penetrated by bombardment, what kind of energy release would there be? And the second part of that question, can the Russian forces use that as a threat to anybody? In other words, saying we will bomb the sarcophagus and release the radiation if you attack us.
Let me start from the last question. I'm sure, well, I know that it's a job of any military to make scaring people, but not to this extent, I think. I don't think that they are happy.
Stupid.
Wait, I don't think that they are happy that that they have to take care of sarcophagus. So to your second question, I'm not an expert in such kind of repositories, because it's a rather unique. And but I think that sarcophagus itself is quite a passive construction. So it is not only the shells which can damage that, can make the problem. So the damage depends on the magnitude of the military equipment which will be used to attack that. I repeat, it's quite possible intentionally or non-intentionally. So they can put shells on that. So now on screen, that is So you see a lot of debris, a lot of piece of equipment. Some equipment is destroyed, some not. So to shell it, it's the same as shelling to any other radioactive waste repository. So that can be secondary pollution, definitely. What magnitude, again, depends on scenario, how the shell will penetrate there.
The next question from Mari-san.
Thank you so much to Kumar and Andrei for this timely discussion. My question is about the monitoring site that Andrei mentioned during the presentation. Who contribute the data to the site and who manages the site, and how credible that monitoring site is?
That is a governmental agency. And let me come back to, sorry. Let me come back to the map. If you go to this link, you can see all the credits who is doing that. It was done several years ago. I don't remember where exactly. Sorry, when exactly, I'm not sure. And that's the name of the website. And let me come to the real name. So that's governmental agency, similar to this stuff in, for instance, in Russia. They switch to English. They are so kind to have it in English, so you can take all the information from their website. I'm not involved. I don't know what type of the data source is there, but they provide this data for free since, I don't know. Yeah, we have two types of monitoring, and you want to see about, let's see, because it's interesting. But again, it's not the only source why I was calling you guys. We have confirmation from the Governmental Agency of Radiation Safety of Ukraine that the spike is there. They did not confirm the magnitude of the spike. They do not say that it's like 30 times more than usually, which is pretty strange. But the spike is definitely there. So that's the guys who are doing that. I think they may have contact details if you want. Just write them and ask. But that's the end of my capacity to.
Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Andrei. I can see we have Gordon Edwards here who has raised his hand.
Okay.
But before this is Stephanie. Sorry. Yeah, Stephanie.
Oh, hi. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, great. Hi. Thanks for doing this, Andrei and Kumar. I have a couple of questions. The IAEA, I by the way, edit a newsletter on the nuclear industry, and we worked yesterday to put out an issue. So I was working a lot on this Chernobyl thing, and there was a statement from the agency in Vienna that they, based on readings from the regulator, assessed it at 9,46 microsieverts per hour. And I asked a specialist I know here in the US who is with Beyond Nuclear, and she said this converts to 83 millisieverts per year, which compared to the ICRP recommended limit of 1 millisievert per year. So she said, she said she's considering this a very large dose, and if she was going to give the IAEA any break at all, it would be that they were assuming the dose will not last the entire year and the radioactivity will settle out into the soil again. But, you know, of course you don't know that. And in the meantime, people are getting exposed. But I wanted to just share that little bit of information. But I also wanted to ask you, Andrei, we also had a statement from some Russian Defense Ministry spokesperson called Major General Igor Konashenkov. And he said that they had reached an agreement between Russian paratroopers and what he called the Ukrainian servicemen of a special nuclear power plant battalion. on joint security of the power units in the sarcophagus of the Chernobyl nuclear plant. But my question is, what happens from here? Because they were in the middle of moving spent fuel from the 3 decommissioned reactors to from wet storage to dry storage. And they're also planning to start moving fuel from South Ukraine NPP at the end of April up to Chernobyl. So like, how can they do this in the middle of a war zone, right? And also, who's going to run all this afterwards? And finally, sorry for loading you up with all these questions, but we were wondering when they took over Chernobyl, are they aiming to take over all the nuclear power plants because it's 50% of Ukraine's energy? What are your thoughts about that?
Okay, first, yeah, thank you for question. There are a lot of questions. If I forget something, pardon me and ask.
Hey, I'm sorry. Yes.
I'm sorry, I have to refuse to. Через час, пожалуйста. So, first, the website of Russian Defense Ministry is down now. So the military activity is running not only in the fields, only in the cyber fields. I just wanted to check because I have heard about this message from Konashenkov. Okay. If we trust them, but I would be rather skeptical about My friends from Ukraine keep testing me, and unfortunately they cannot join our conversation. I quote, next to my house there is an armor attack from Kharkiv. So sorry, we are rather happy not having military activity next to our windows. Anyway, coming back to Russian military statement. The statement was about physical security, not physical means defense security, whatever it is. Yep. Defense against hooligans, against some physical damage. It has nothing about radiation safe security or engineering security. I have seen this statement more. I have seen a video when some Ukrainian soldier was signing something with the Russian soldiers, but I know how this video is making during the war. I really know how they make, I would not say fake news, but something like information part of the war is still there. So all the questions which you mentioned later, do they stop operation of this moving the spent nuclear fuel? Did they stop operation of upkeep and containment and confinement and all these things? Do they stop decommissioning of 1, 2, 3 reactors? They are completely defueled, I repeat, but they are still dangerous and they are still full of this radioactive graphite. We should remember that the graphite fire can be repeated if those 3 reactors will be shelled with the military equipment and the fire can come up again. Of course, it will not be the same as Chernobyl because they are refueled. I repeat it for the 3rd time, but we still have this C14 radioactive carbon, which is quite dangerous for any human beings and for any. So that are the questions to rise. That's why I was calling you, because I have no information from my military ministry. The Ukrainian governmental entity called Chernobyl nuclear power plant is completely ruined. They don't have information updated on the website. So we just don't know. And in this situation, you know, in any other situation, me or my friend from Kyiv can just pick up the device and go and measure yourself. That's how it works. If you have the rumors about radiation spike, just go there, take your own dosimeter and make the field measurements. Now I cannot do that because it's a war situation, and no one from Ukraine can do that because it's a Russian occupation. IAEA, I repeat, is not going to do that because they don't want to do that. So we are in a situation of uncertainty.
Yeah. What about just asking you, do you think that they want to occupy the other nuclear power plants in Ukraine?
We don't know. As I show you on the map, there are 2 nuclear power plants, Zaporizhia and South
Mhm.
Ukraine,
Mhm.
which are more or less on the way of the Russian attack. They're
Yeah.
near, more or less to the eastern, southern part, not far from Crimea, not far from this People's Republics of Donetsk and Lugansk. So and I receive in the messages from there, from that parts of Ukraine that they notice military activity around. So it's not just an empty guess. It's real information from the people who live there. So that's another open question. And who can ask Russia, hey, Russia, are you going to take control on the other
Right.
nuclear power plants of Ukraine? Again, my guess is that that's the agency, but again, we don't know.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrey. Thank you, Stephanie. We have a number of questions in the chat, but before we go to that, I will request Andrey to allow me to request Gordon. Gordon is here and he has raised his hand. So Gordon, go ahead and ask your question.
Yeah. Hi, Andrey and Kumar. Thank you so much for doing this. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah. I just wanted clarification about the spike. I would like to know exactly when the spike occurred. And when we say a spike, we usually mean that it went sharply up and then came sharply down. Was there, in the graph you showed, it showed it going sharply up, but it didn't show any further readings afterwards to indicate that it might have gone down again. Could you clarify that, please? And the other question I wanted to know is, when did the monitors stop working, as far as you know?
We need to come back to the screenshots. We don't, one of the monitors I checked 2 days ago, there was indicator of that it comes up and down.
Okay.
Something like half of magnitude. I'm not sure that it's saved in my computer. I need to come back and to sure. I was naive enough. I did not do each and every point. I didn't save them, unfortunately. So what we see now, we see that let me check. We have the data only on 25th of February, early morning 25th of February, late night 24th of February, late night 24th of February. I think that the monitors, they have different, they differ, and some of them update several times a day, and some of them have only once a day or once in 2 days. Let's look about that. You see some gaps in the normal operation from 16th to 17th of February. This guide didn't work. Then we have two spikes, and I cannot see how close is that, but there are definitely two measurements. Because again, if there is only one spike, then can be something like if somebody just brought the source or just pick up the piece of waste and brought next to this measuring points. But I don't think that that can be done with dozens of that. This is quite suspicious because it's very sharp and it has only one jump up. But can you see the magnitude? 65 microrentgens per hour. If there is a real new pollution, so that this data comes to the most close to the possible pollution point. I unfortunately, and this is based on the building. This is based on the building of Unit 1 to Unit 3, to Unit 2, sorry. This particular one, it is the highest I saw. But again, that looks very suspicious because normally it has like 3 microsievert per hour, and we have 65 on the spike. But that's how the spike looks like. It can looks like that.
Yeah.
This is much better. Again, the normal magnitude is 7.7 and the spike is 58.
But no indication of it coming down again. That's
no, and it was stopped. So I did not download it. Again, this is 24th of February, 9 p.m. And I did not do it yesterday. And today the data is not available, so it's completely erased. So this one is better. This one is much better. You see 24th oh no, there is no date. Again, we need to do more with that. I'm not sure, can we trust that or not? But again, look at that. We have two data which indicates the rise. So that doesn't look like that somebody come next to that and destroy it or make it another with two. What this one is much better because you see these two things, but again, maybe that is something wrong with the data system. But now it's not operational. Now we don't have online system. We don't have any information from the excluded zone after the Russian occupation. So that makes me scared because the Russian army has a special forces on radioactive, chemical, and biological defense.
Yeah. Now
they do have measurements, so they could publish that.
In all these graphs that you've shown on the screen, you see the beginning of the spike, but you don't see the end of it. And I'm wondering if that could be just the beginning of an even greater spike.
Oh, I never thought about that because 58 is quite enough for me. We don't know. You're absolutely right. We see the beginning of the problem. We don't know, is it a real problem or is it just a something, I don't know, electrical problem. Oh, and when the system was destroyed, again, we don't know why it was destroyed. Was it switched off by its owners, or was it switched off by the army? Or if the army use, they have like jammers to put down all these mobile networks and things like that. Maybe that destroys the information exchange. But coming here, we have the documents from the state agency on the excluded zone on Chernobyl. So that's this agency on Chernobyl, which is saying, let me try to let me try to read it for you. Oh yeah, we can do that. So that's a magnitude in sorry, technical. That's a dose rate comparing to the average. That's average of this special point, and that's what was done on 24th of February. So again, these guys have about 2, and we have about 10. So the spike is there, definitely.
Okay.
Or the governmental agency is trying to fake us, maybe, but I don't think so.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Gordon, and thank you, Andrey. I think this issue of not having data is itself very concerning. We have seen this thing happening in Fukushima in the early weeks when the monitoring stations were stopped. We have seen this in numerous occasions. I think there were a couple of people who have highlighted this in chat based on the experience with Fukushima and elsewhere, that the data could also be like one of the sources could be probably the CTBTO. Or the European agencies in this case probably, or some individual like independent monitoring system about which Andrei, you might have more information. So do you think, are there some infrastructures available through which we could have more clarity in coming days?
Well, no idea. Again, the main, okay, let me do it again. We have a unique situation when a nuclear power plant, repository, spent nuclear storage, and this confinement change the ownership violently with a military force as a result of military attack, not as a result of really fight and shelling, but as a result of non-intention of military attack, of the violence. Let me use that. So they violently change the owner, and the new owner is keeping silence. The new owner, Russian military chief that you mentioned, was saying, well, we protect the fences around Chernobyl area. Nice, you can do that. I trust you, Russian military. You can protect the fences, but what is inside? And that is the question. I have no answer.
Right. I think, Andrei, we can take some of these questions that you see in the chat.
There is such a long one. Maybe we continue conversation. I still see some hands.
Yeah, I can see Tatiana raising her hand here. Tatiana, please go ahead.
Okay, I still can take one of short questions.
Yeah,
the European monitoring sites are a bit far away from Chernobyl? So looks like that is a local story. I checked the Belarusian. There is public monitoring activities. They don't see any evidences of the rise. So if we take the version that it's because of the dust from the tanks, maybe that will not come out. Well, I agree, it's bad stuff. It's not a question but a comment. Yes, please. Who is?
Yeah, Tatiana, go ahead.
And Andrei, you mentioned yesterday in another interview that, if I understood correctly, that a new team of plant personnel that was coming to replace the personnel that was on the station was prevented to reach the station. Do we know anything about that and something more?
No news. It was the media news yesterday morning. Was it? Yeah, I think it was yesterday. And technically, the staff, they are not leaving. They are not staying overnight in Chernobyl. They live in Slavutich, and there is a local train, and it passed territory of Belarus. No one takes care of that. There was no border control because it's the middle of the forest, it's the middle of the exclusion zone, and Belarus just close eyes. They don't make any stops on the territory. And recently, yesterday morning, this local train was stopped on the border, and they don't let this train go. If we consider Belarus as an independent state from Russia, which I quite doubt after what has happened 2 days ago, we can ask Belarusian railways, border guards, why they did that. After occupation, I don't see any messages from inside. So there are no messages from Chernobyl nuclear power plant as a Ukrainian governmental office, and there is no Russian Chernobyl nuclear power plant, whatever installation or whatever. So we have a really strange, not management, but institutional problem. We don't have institution in Russia. Who is in charge of Chernobyl? And if there are journalists around, why not ask Rosatom, saying, hey, you are the Russian monopoly. You are the Russian nuclear monopoly. So now you are in charge of Chernobyl or not? Do you have any Rosatom specialist inside the Russian military who attacked Ukraine and who take over on Chernobyl? Well, coming back, Tatiana, to your question, no more information, sorry. And a lot of information which is coming now, it's a part of this information war, and so I try to seed it out, but you know, with this situation is quite impossible. And
Thank
my
you, Andrey.
Ukrainian
I
friend-
can see a number of questions in the chat, and I can also see that some of these questions are similar. So please allow me to club these questions together and put them
Good.
before you. One question, I think it's Matsukubo-san and also Bob, about the situation where 50% of the electricity in Ukraine is supplied by nuclear power plants. Matsukubo-san has asked, is there any possibility for other countries to transmit sufficient electricity to Ukraine? Do you have any opinion,
That's
suggestion,
quite-
observation?
I know that there was quite substantial, like half of gigawatt flow from new built by Rosatom Belarusian nuclear power plants. There was this cross-border change, so Ukraine was buying electricity from the Belarusian nuclear power plant when all the other countries refused to do that. So thank you, Ukraine, for supporting Rosatom. So they can buy it from Belarus. I don't know, are they buying it now? And there is the Western connection, which I'm not sure. I'm not expert in these lines, so that I cannot answer the question.
Okay, thank you.
Normally,
Sorry.
but I can give you advice. If you go to the Energy Ministry of Ukraine, normally they have reports, even daily reports about this buying, selling electricity and how many units are online, how many units are on repairing. So maybe just go there and check.
Thank you, Andrey. There is one question, I think by Sukla Sen, and he has asked, Chernobyl had been evacuated in 1986 itself. What's the precise status of the closed down reactors now? So very basic question, but I think this is still important to ask. What is the status?
Well, I can do it because I've been there like 10 years ago on the public hearings on decommissioning.
Yes.
So 3 reactors, actually 3 units, number 1, number 2, and number 3, are now under decommission. And together with 2 similar units in Lithuania, there are only 5 graphite reactors of Soviet Union design, this famous RBMKs, which are under practical decommissioning process. So Ukraine have like 50-50, not immediate decommissioning like Lithuania, and not delayed solution like everyone else. So they did refueling, and they start, I don't know what is the process, they start removing these channels, this zirconium tubes from this RBMKs, the famous channels, which is K in the word RBMK. So there is a comprehensive process. So the plan was to stabilize the concrete structure and let it stay for 50 years and then come back. So refuel, remove the channels, and let graphite stay stable inside the buildings, and let have the decay come down, and it improves the radiation situation. I think that the story of decommissioning is covered on the website of Chernobyl nuclear power plant, and they have a nice English section. I did not check that because it's not the issue of my message now.
Okay, so there are then these couple of questions surrounding the IAEA. Andrey, you already talked about it, but a little more, maybe you can say what would have been an optimum situation for IAEA, what role it could play, what is it trying to avoid here?
First, IAEA have to show up. IAEA is an agency where both conflicting sides, Russia and Ukraine, are members. So the General Secretary of IAEA is one of the few persons in the world. Well, I know some other persons like President of United States or Chancellor of Germany. So they need to give a call. First, let them call to Kremlin, then let them call to Kiev and say, hi, you guys now in state of the war, but we have to secure the radiation safety of your countries and all the rest of the world. So I have expertise, and we are a respectable agency, well, respectable. So we can send you team of engineers or team of field workers. They will measure and they will help you to keep the installations in this fucking transition period when you guys stop fighting and start talking to each other. So somebody needs to say that, because it should not be done in such a way like with Chernobyl. Just imagine that some other nuclear power plant apparently will be at Russian territory. There will be the same questions. How to send the next shift of workers there? Who is in charge? Well, last question, who is paying salaries? So a lot of things. And I just demonstrates that they are passive, that they don't take care of the situation. And but we know that. I opened the website of Chernobyl nuclear power plant. I can share it with you. And as I told you, the last message is from February 23. So the website is not updated, and I can understand why it is happening. And it has, you see, English. So the last messages are like they're buying something, the local newspaper, and they want on 20th of January to change the monitoring system of the radiation monitoring. But I don't think that this change really take place. There is something a bit slow connection, but anyway, you can find easily the website of Chernobyl nuclear power plant and get updated about the current situation and see what are they doing. Sorry, it takes too long time. Maybe we can take next question.
Yeah, I think Linda has asked this question, but it was also on my mind. Andrey, you're someone who does not only have the technical information, you're also in touch with civil society actors. So in the situation where IAEA is absent, and understandably so, like I expected it to be the situation. So what do you think the civil society, people like us, in what ways we can raise our voice? Do you see some specific things that we could do, specific networks that we could mobilize, specific demands that we could make, and so on?
The question, I don't have the answer. Well, first I share my Facebook, so you can come to my Facebook. It's most of that is in Russian, but Google Translate works pretty well. So if you want to contact me, do it via Facebook or via Telegram, and I will be happy if you start following me. What to do? First, what we could do, it's like Kumar and me, we decided that we need to spread the word to the world. We cannot involve, we were trying, trust me, we were trying to involve our friends in Ukraine, but I am receiving right now the message from one of them from Kharkiv that he cannot join us because he has shelling next to his house. I copy this message. It's in Russian language, but just for protocol to see how heavy is the situation in Ukraine. So that is a message from my friend. Next to my house there is a armors and they're shelling, and I don't know, do I have an internet now? So we, in this situation, we cannot involve the Ukrainian civil society, and I think that Ukrainian civil society will be the last persons who will address the Russian militaries, saying, hey, Russian militaries, why don't you give us data about radioactivity? They were killing people, so let's ask them about radioactivity. The last thing that citizens of Ukraine can do, and I fully understand them. So what we can do, let's try to campaign. Okay, let's try to campaign. IAEA, they are fucking bureaucrats, but all the countries which you are from, they are members of IAEA. So why not to demand, why not to raise the issue to your governments and lobby to the IAEA hey guys, we have the requests from this and this and this member countries. And this is request, who is in charge of Chernobyl? That's the first question. The second one will be, was there a spike or not? Who is lying or not? Why not to send the trustable people there to make the measurements on the field or whatever, take samples or whatever. It's so easy. I mean, we have only one Chernobyl in Europe. Well, you guys in Japan have another problem, but it's a bit far away from ours, and there is no war around, thanks God. So that can be one thing. We can try to make common statement from civil society of different countries, but I don't think it will be relevant for IAEA, but that's easy to do. So maybe we shall try to have like one page of something and ask you to sign it and spread it. And that can be also question to the world. The war is a really worst situation possible, but the war around nuclear power plants and storages of the waste and fuel is making war even worse, if it's possible. So maybe that's an excuse. So please join the conversation. Why not have a small group to discuss that? We can do it. And maybe we can come to some other ideas, and I will be happy to.
Yeah, Andrey, I think it's a very important suggestion, and I can see a number of names here who have much more experience than me. There's Angela, there's Marisan, there's Caitlin, there's Fukunaga Sensei, and of course Gordon. So maybe we could try to have a brief discussion and maybe come up with a statement and ask others to sign, etc. And we'll see what we can do about that. Fukunaga Sensei, you have raised your hand, so please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you so much. Sincerely, that I appreciate both of you. And we are thinking about what is the next step for us. Please, together for this community and further community, Sundaram.
Yes.
This is your work and duty. Please act again, and I appreciate your kind.
Thank you, Sensei.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll be in touch with you and other people here, and we'll see if we can come up with a statement. Thank you so much, really. Andrey?
Well, yes, let's. It's really nice that you are trying to get involved, that you are interested. So let's think what can be efficient in our case and which can be relevant to the situation. Please understand my problem. I'm the part of the aggressor. I live in Russia. I pay taxes, so it's my tanks now stand at Chernobyl. So it's a bit psychologically hard for me, not politically. I am speaking in open, and I don't care if somebody will ask me about my position. I don't support the war. I don't support intervention. I don't like that. If we can raise that, why not? Again, please understand me. Even if there was just a misbehavior of the data system, we still need to answer who is responsible for radiation safety of Chernobyl now. And there is no answer. Maybe we should start with that and then came up with this clarification points about the radiation control. What will be the best solution for me? Maybe if international community or IAEA will replace Russian lieutenants in Chernobyl area, that will be much better for me. If we take engineers or specialists from any other country, which is not involved in the conflict, well, from India, from Japan, even better. And give authority to come to this exclusion zone, to ensure that there is no military activity in the zone, remove all the soldiers, whatever Ukrainian, Belarusian, Russians, and just take care of security and invite back Ukrainian engineers and provide them with a safe situation that they can continue their work. Maybe that can be a good solution. I don't know.
Sure. I think there are two things that I wanted to do here. One is this important question that Dennis has asked, and this directly relates to what you said. Are we in a new kind of war in which the side that controls nuclear power plant sites has leverage over its opponent? Is this the new kind of potential warfare that we are witnessing unfolding? I know, Andrey, you will not have a clear answer to this, but I think it's an important question for all of us to ponder about. And I think Fukunaga Sensei has also said something similar here in the chat. I can see that.
Yeah, I would just clarify and say a nuclear power plant is now a hostage to war, if that's what I meant to say. Right,
Dennis. No, thank you for raising that. That's very important. In the chat, I can see a couple of more questions. Sukla Sen has given a really good suggestion. Andrey, maybe you can help, and Matsukubo-san and other people, putting together a brief info sheet, even if we don't have information, just flagging that this lack of information itself is a concern. So Sukla Sen has written, please summarize the specific points of concern in accessible language so that it can be propagated. So that's coming from a really veteran organizer from India. And I think that's an important suggestion here.
Yes, I think it will be the next step to have 1 or 2 pages, basically put on paper what I was saying with some illustrations and some proofs, and then we can think what to do with that. Yes, well, that is quite reasonable. Thank you.
Kumar, Kumar, it's Gordon speaking.
Yes, yes.
I noticed that Stephanie Cook has had her hand up for quite a while. Maybe you could ask her what her question is.
Yeah, sure. Stephanie, do you have another question, or is the hand raised? Stephanie, are you there? I think she had raised her hand. She asked questions and she didn't, whatever, unclick it probably, or. Yeah, so there are a couple of more questions in the chat if you want to respond, Andrey, and then probably, I don't know what is the best way to reach out, but Mari-san and Matsukubo-san, Caitlin, please allow me to reach out to you, also Angela and everyone else here, if we can come up with a statement together. But I'll do that. I'll prefer doing that separately over email rather than in a Zoom conversation. But just to round up everything, Andrey, if you have something more to add, if we have any other questions, if people have put their questions in the chat and the thing there that I did not represent them properly, please, we have a little more time.
Look, it's a bit hard for me to read the chart right now. So Kumar, if possible, please assist. Or you guys can just do it with a voice. We still have like 15 minutes.
Linda, you have written long questions, suggestions here.
I'm sorry.
It will be better if you could just speak and
I'm concerned. I'm concerned about that we need to warn people close to Chernobyl, even if it's complete information. Do we have a way to do that? Thank you.
Yes, there are several guys who replied to my Facebook statements. Okay, when I discovered that, I made several posts on my Facebook. Sorry, it's in Russian. And I get replies from one retired engineer. He lives in Slavutich, if I understand correctly. I can check if he's still there, if they have internet. And he's definitely in Slavutich, and he could take this local train to go to Chernobyl if he has his passport. I think it's not a big problem. I can ask them, but again, they are now under Russian occupation. if I was in this situation, I would not do anything, because it's really dangerous. There are people with Kalashnikov on streets, and if you just will say, hey, I need to measure radioactivity, I don't think that it's feasible, but I will try to contact them, definitely.
Andrey, we can't hear you. Are you there? Okay, maybe he'll try to join again. Linda, you have rightly pointed out that this is so brave of Andrey, and I know personally that he was arrested several times, including in Belarus, and in general, environmental activists in Russia have been facing brutal repression over several years now. So we have had these instances in Russia where they have been declared foreign agents and they have been jailed and incarcerated. I hope Andrey will be able to come back and join us. Yes, Andrey. Andrey, you're muted.
Yeah, but you know, I just want to say that let's somehow stay together. Let's keep the contact, and if you want to do what we discovered, to have an information sheet and then come up with maybe idea of open letter or whatever else, let's do that. That can help the brave people of Ukraine.
Thank you, Andrey. So please allow me to thank all of you on behalf of DiaNuke.org. And I have all your email addresses. I'll try and reach out. And I can see that a lot of senior people and senior organizers are here. Thank you all of, thanks all of you for joining this conversation. And let's see, these two immediate things. One is putting together a very brief info sheet and a possible international solidarity statement that we can discuss over email. I'll reach out to you later today. Thanks once again. Andrey, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for agreeing to speak to us on such a short notice. I think that's
and I'm really happy that there is a real interest of that there is interest to the issue, and we can try to do something.
Sure. Thank you, Matsukubo-san. We'll be in touch. I'll reach out to you. Thank you, Fukunaga-sensei. Domo arigatou gozaimasu. Pinar, hope you're doing well. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Tatiana, Misa, and Grit. Thank you.
So good, Kumar. Well done.
Thank you, Andrey. And this was, thanks, Peter. It was really important that we had this conversation. Thanks for your time. And I think these two immediate suggestions, they are very, very useful. So we should do a statement. Kate, can you hear me? Keito-san? There are other people here.
Hi.
Hi, Keito-san. How are you? Hisashiburi desu.
I'm good. I'm good. Hisashiburi desu. Hi.
Yeah. So maybe you'll have better suggestion on how can we can follow up on this suggestion, a statement maybe, CNIC, you from Tokyo and other people. We can maybe email is a better way to have a conversation about this.
Yeah, I think
but
that's
I just
true.
wanted to,
and Matsukubo-san was here as well. So CNIC actually wrote a statement on Ukraine yesterday or the day before. So we could maybe even use part of that.
Sure. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. But for sure, like, get everyone on an email list and we can figure something out, I'm sure.
Thank you.
Yay.
Thank you. Okay, so I'll maybe end
Kumar?
the Zoom conversation. Yeah. Yes, Linda.
Kumar, I'm sorry to keep you. I just had one more question.
Sure.
When
go
you
ahead.
do send me the recording, would you send it? Do you think part of the strategy could be to send the recording of this webinar to everyone so they could send it to the press?
We'll definitely do that. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
God bless you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
And just for your note, I have a much more structured message in my YouTube, but I did it in Russian language. So all the what I
Okay.
showed you, all these slides and this, screenshots, and there is but I think you can easily find me on YouTube. It's
Well, maybe
my own name. So if you communicate with the press, you can just refer to that, because I think that our Zoom meeting is a bit chaotic and has some technical
Okay.
problems. Mhm.
maybe Kumar could also put those links
Sure.
when he sends an email to all of us, and we'd all be
Yes.
sending out the same message. Thank you so much. Please stay safe.
Sure, we'll do this. Thank you so much, Linda.
Okay.
Okay. Bye, everyone. Thank you. Thanks, Andrey. I will connect to you again on Facebook.
Mhm.
Take
All
care.
right.
Have a good evening.
Let's hope that it will come to the end sometime.
Thanks.